Insomniac's first dive into the superhero genre has been a positive experience. The acclaimed developer of titles like Spyro the Dragon, Ratchet and Clank, Resistance, and the Sunset Overdrive made another massive leap by creating one of the best superhero games with Marvel's Spider-Man. However, how does this stack up against the final game in the acclaimed Batman Arkham series? Widely regarded as the best superhero franchise of all time, does Marvel's Spider-Man outshine the final installment in the Batman Arkham series, or will Insomniac need to step up in the game's eventual sequel? So let's find out. Now, Batman the Arkham Knight was one of the most anticipated titles of this generation. After the jaw-dropping end of Batman Arkham City and the Rocksteady confirming that Batman Arkham Knight was the final game in the series, many were hoping for a story that would maintain the series' high standards. The unfortunate reality is that it did not. Batman Arkham Knight narrative was crippled due to the identity of the Arkham Knight, which fans already predicted the identity of, which served as a primary plot within the game's story. Joker and Batman's mental match serves as a much more entertaining portion of the game, easily overshadowing Scarecrow. Marvel's Spider-Man doesn't suffer this issue of flow and predictability. Marvel's Spider-Man introduces a steady flow of personal and greater problems for Spider-Man to overcome. Everything serves as a purpose, and right till the end of the narrative throws unexpected curveballs and shocking surprises, leading up to emotional conclusion. Batman Arkham Knight narrative is good, but compared to the emotional rollercoaster in the Marvel Spider-Man, Insomniac left a lot of fans shocked and yearning for more. Both Marvel Spider-Man's and Batman Arkham Knight provides us ample of opportunity to use both Batman and Spider-Man's numerous talents. Rocksteady provides an ample options for both stealth and combat to highlight Batman's resourcefulness and talents, whereas Insomniac has Spider-Man performing acrobatic impossibilities while making snarky remarks and bad jokes. Insomniac did a fantastic job on a traveling system. Making web swinging throughout the city and heading to your objective was half the fun of the entire game. Rocksteady not only gave players the same gliding system from Batman Arkham City, but gave players the chance to use the Batmobile. Unfortunately, whereas traveling to New York as Spider-Man has never gets old, the Batmobile eventually loses its appeal because of its overusage. Most of the time, the Batman Arkham Knight players have to drag the mobile everywhere, the Batmobile anyway. Sometimes literally. Making most of the Batman's adventure a giant escort missions for the Batmobile. This repetition is driven home by the overuse of the armored tanks, one of which serves as a final battle between Deathstroke instead of what could have been an incredible 1v1 battle. Driving is everywhere is still a lot of fun, but at the end of the game, the appeal of getting into the Batmobile becomes an afterthought, unlike the swinging around as Spider-Man. Both games offer their own style of combat. Marvel's Spider-Man gives a great interpretation of Spider-Man's way of the spider combat style and combines the use of his spidey senses, web gadgets, and basic melee attacks. With the Rockstar's iconic fighting system, it's still a rock solid as ever in a Batman's Arkham Knight. The difference is slight, but these two games very different. Insomniac's system is much more forgiving and offers more breaks into combo chains and giving the players more breathing room of how they customized their own preference to combat style with custom suit modifiers and special attacks. Batman's Arkham Knight is much more rigid, requiring absolute perfection to gain those powerful finishes, moves, and high combo chains. However, ironically, Batman is much more nimble in combat than Spider-Man, able to dash across the room and hit a target, delay their attack. This rhythmic flow is something Insomniac tries to mimic but cannot. Not the same degree to the Batman of the Arkham Knight. Stealth in both games are at night and day, but Batman Arkham Knight has more options and opportunities for creative tactics. Marvel's Spider-Man gives Spider-Man a lot of options, such as trip mines, but compared to Batman's wide array of tactics, Spider-Man cannot compete. Both games offered repetitive options for objectives, but with a common theme. Whether it's repairing Harry's research stations or investigating murder scenes with cryptic clues, the optional missions in both Spider-Man's and the Batman's Arkham Knights helped a complement of the core story and the overall world. Optional objectives in Spider-Man were great to play thanks to an incredible gameplay, and the Batman Arkham Knight provides interesting payoffs such as the unique boss battles. Marvel's Spider-Man did the same, but not for all, most providing tokens and more suits and gadgets to unlock. It's hard to argue one side over the other here, since both games offered their own share of repetitive tasks with great payoffs and kept with the theme of the games and protagonists. In the end, it's whether you like the Batman or the Spider-Man more. Now, Marvel Spider-Man is a stable game. Sounds like a trivial thing to highlight, but more modern releases tend to have flaws than releases that later gets patched out. Batman Arkham Knight launches in such a shameful state that the PC version of the game was recalled within the weeks of the game's launch. The console version fared better, but were not without their flaws, with an Xbox One user specifically unable to play the game after the certain period unless all the internal files were deleted from their system if they purchased a launch day Xbox One. Marvel Spider-Man has its flaws, as do many open-world games, but these issues were minimal. Floating NPCs, animation problems, and the other issues were tawdry in a comparison. Personally, I had 3 hard crashes during my spectacular playthrough, but when compared to Batman Arkham Knight's release date, Marvel Spider-Man worked. Now, closing statement, Batman Arkham Knight is a great damn game. It's in its current state, but the lukewarm ending is one of the most acclaimed superhero franchises of all time, still left a sour taste in many gamers' mouth. Marvel Spider-Man debut left in similar marks as the first Batman Arkham Asylum, and hopefully Insomniac will maintain its momentum until the very end. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later. Tell me down in the comments who wins. I'll talk to you all later.